So I was pondering the other day, right? And I came to this epiphany or realization. And that realization is that there can be no self-acceptance without external rejection. And I was thinking how most people go through life, right? Most people go through life and we sort of find people who accept us. And based on other people's acceptance, that is how we come to a place in which we truly accept ourselves, right? And I was thinking how if your self-acceptance, right, is contingent on other people accepting you, is it really self-acceptance or is it truly others' acceptance masked as self-acceptance, right? And I was thinking how most people go through life, right? Most people, we go through life and we sort of try to find people to validate us. This is why, for the most part, we chase after relationships, we chase after friendships, we chase after, peer groups, etc., etc. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, right? One of our needs and one of the things that we desire is human connection. We want to feel close to people, right? But even though we desire human connection, deep down, what we truly desire or we truly crave for most of us is we crave other people's acceptance and validation. And the reason in which we try to find people to validate us or accept us is because we haven't truly come to a place in which we truly accept ourselves. The only reason we need people to validate us is that we haven't come to a place in which we truly validate our own selves, right? And so you have to get to a point in your life in which you realize that the only way you're going to truly validate and accept yourself is if your acceptance is no longer contingent on other people, right? The only way you're gonna come to a point in your life in which you truly love yourself is if you're not trying to use the love of others to love yourself, and then your love comes from within. That's truly the only place, right? Because as long as you try to find some people or people to love you and validate you, you can't truly get to a place in which you love and validate your own self. And this is why I believe that solitude and being alone is such an important thing. When you're alone and you're not surrounded by people, right? Which I believe that everyone has to get to a point in life in which they start to enjoy their solitude. It doesn't mean that you can't be around people, but you begin to enjoy your solitude and being by yourself. Because once you're in that state of solitude, you begin to realize that you are the only one that can truly love and accept yourself, right? Unconditionally. You are the only one that can truly validate yourself unconditionally. Because people will validate and accept you, right? But they will only validate and accept you under certain terms and conditions. Even our parents that we believe, accept us unconditionally, in reality, most parents don't really accept us unconditionally, right? You have to understand that people have an image of you in their mind, right? Everyone around you, they don't see you as they are. What they do is they project the image that they have in their mind of you on you, right? So the moment you no longer fit that picture or that image that they create in their own minds, they no longer accept you as you are. Which is why you will have friends, you will have family, you will have people who you love romantically, who whenever you sort of go outside the paradigm of the image that they have in their minds, they become disappointed. They no longer accept you, they no longer validate you, because they don't see you as you are. They see you based on their image, right? Only you truly know who you are, right? Only you can give yourself the unconditional love and unconditional acceptance that you desire. If you're always waiting for someone to be your source of validation, and if you're waiting for someone to be the reason that you accept yourself, then you're going to be waiting forever, right? And I think most of us get to a point in our lives in which we realize that rejection and people not accepting us is going to be the thing, or a thing that we have to face continuously. Whether it's in business, friendships, especially relationships, people are going to reject you, right? People are not going to accept you. But it doesn't matter who accepts you and who doesn't accept you. If you have not come to a place in which you've truly accepted yourself, then to me, you're living a half-assed life. If 100 people or 1,000,000 people accept you, but deep down you have not, or you have yet to accept yourself, then you're going to always feel as if something is missing. And when you think about that and you come to that epiphany and that realization, you begin to realize that you sort of need people to reject you. Because the only way you're going to truly accept yourself is if you can reflect on other people's rejection, and you have to say to yourself, if no one can truly accept me unconditionally, I have to be the one that gives myself that unconditional acceptance. Someone has to do it, right? As long as you live life and your acceptance is based on other people, then you're always going to be performing like a monkey. You're going to be dancing for them, right? You're going to always try to fit the image of what this person, your friends, your family, the person that you love. You're going to always flip-flop and try to fit that image. And that's impossible, because you don't know how they perceive you in their minds. This is why I think a lot of us are so scared to be our authentic selves, right? We're so scared to drop our armor and be vulnerable and show up to life and show up to people as we truly are, because we fear that they might not accept us as we are, right? But once you get to a place in which you say to yourself, I can no longer depend on their acceptance. Their acceptance isn't going to be the thing that allows me to live the life that I want to live. And since their acceptance is not going to be the thing that gives me freedom, that gives me peace, that gives me happiness, I have to accept myself, right? Most people don't realize this, but rejection is also working in your favor, right? All rejection, or people rejecting you, is saying to you, you need to accept yourself. See, a person that is no longer attached to the acceptance of other people, right? They no longer take rejection personally. Only people who take rejection personally are people who deep down have not accepted themselves. And that's a fact. And I was at that place in my life, and obviously I'm still working to be better, but I was at a place in my life in which I took rejection so personally. And the reason why I took rejection so personally was that I have not, come to a place in which I've truly embodied and accepted myself as I was. I was looking for people to validate my existence, to validate whether I'm good enough, to validate whether I'm worthy of love, right? That's why I took rejection so personally. But once you get to a place in which you become your own source, and I talk about this all the time, I talk about the fact that all of us, every single one of us, if you want to truly be happy and find peace in this world, we have to get to a place in which we become the ones that become our own source. We become the ones that are capable of filling our own cup, right? We have to become the ones that give to ourselves whatever it is that we're expecting from this world. This world would never truly be able to give you what you need. Most of us are searching for love, and we have not gotten to a place in which we love ourselves, right? Most of us are trying to expect people to come into our lives and fill the empty void that we have within. And that's not possible. And the thing about it is that people's love and people's acceptance, not only are they conditional, right? Meaning they love you under certain conditions, right? Not only are they conditional, but it's unstable. There are going to be times in your life in which you don't have the validation and acceptance of other people. There are going to be times in your life when people that you love and expect to be there for you no longer be there for you. Everyone is doing their own shit and dealing with their own lives. So if you're continuously trying to find people to always validate your existence, then what you're deep down saying is that you don't believe that your existence matters. Right? You don't believe that deep down you are worthy. Right? And the truth of the matter is, right, society has taught us that our worth and our value is contingent on things outside of us. Which is why I believe that this notion that if you're not in a relationship, if you don't have friends, if you're not a part of certain groups, whatever, etc., you don't have value, and you're not valuable, right? That's the program that society has placed in our minds. But the truth, right, the real truth is that your value comes from within, and your value isn't contingent on whether or not people accept or validate you. You by yourself, right? You in your solitude, intrinsically, you have value, and if you were not valuable, you would not be here. Every single thing in our existence is valuable. You will never get to a point in your life in which you truly live life with a sense of freedom and happiness if you don't recognize that value, right? You never get to a place in which you find peace if you don't see the peace of God that is within you. Every single one of us is really a reflection of the divine. We have God within us. The kingdom of heaven is within you. But if you're expecting someone to recognize that kingdom of God within you, then you're going to be waiting forever. The people that you expect to recognize the peace of God within you don't even see the God within themselves. Most people live life and they're searching for God outside of themselves. God exists right here. And if God exists right here, you don't have any choice but to have value. Your value is within. And until you recognize that, you will always be living a half-assed life. Right? You'll always be uneasy. You'll always be unfulfilled. Right? Your value isn't dependent on anyone. It's right here. And you have to be the one that sees that. But I really believe that rejection is a beautiful thing. And lately I've been realizing that more and more. Rejection puts you in a place in which you have to look at yourself and you have to say to yourself, if they don't accept me, I have to be the one that accepts me. If they don't validate me, and if they don't love me as I am, I have to be the one to give myself that love. And that's the beauty of rejection. But most of us never get to a place in which we truly realize that, because we take rejection too personally. And here's a secret that no one tells you. People don't truly reject you. They reject the image that they have of you in their minds. No one truly sees you as you are. They see you based on the image that they have in their minds. Every single person in this world has on a different pair of glasses. Every single person in this world sees life differently. Right? Sometimes people, it's not so much that you don't have value. It's more so that people are looking for different things, and people see different things as valuable based on who they are, based on where they grew up, etc., etc. So if you take rejection personally and you believe that you don't have value simply because someone rejected you, then what you're doing is you're disregarding your intrinsic value, and you're disregarding the peace of God that exists within you. Right? But you have to get to a place in which you become your own source of validation, in which you become your own source of self-acceptance. But until you get to that place, until you realize that, you will always be looking outside of you for others' approval. And to me, that's a meaningless life. A life that is worth living and a life that is well lived is a life in which you recognize that your value comes from within, and you see your worth regardless of what anyone has to say. You see the beauty and you see the divine that exists within you. So I say all this to say, we need to stop taking rejection so personally. And rejection actually is a good thing. Rejection is pushing you in the direction of self-acceptance. But if you continue to take it personally, then you will never truly use rejection to your favor and make rejection work for you. The truth is that people are going to reject you. Some people are going to accept you. But all of that is meaningless unless you learn to accept, validate, and love yourself. All of that is meaningless until your self-acceptance and your self-love is not based on anyone's approval and anyone's acceptance but yours. And that's when you truly begin to live life. That's when you truly begin to live. But without self-love, without acceptance, self-acceptance, without, self-validation, then you're not truly alive. You're not truly living, You're simply being alive. And to me, that is a meaningless life. A life worth lived is a life in which you give to yourself everything that you expect from this world and everything that you expect from everyone else. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you found value in this video, and I hope you begin to realize that rejection is only pushing you in the direction of self-acceptance. So allow rejection to work for you. Don't allow it to work against you. Peace and blessings.